but we also use the same form, maybe with some minor tweaks and modifications for criteria architects, for construction managers as agent, for construction managers at risk, design, build, and various specialty consultants, might be for commissioning or something like that as well. So the last page of this RFQ that you were given today is the selection rating form. As we were talking about how we would present this material at the OFCC conference, Craig and I were trying to figure out, okay, what's going to help everybody put their best information forward and give us the most clear and concise information about their firm to tell us about your qualifications. And you know, we kind of got to a place where we said, well, what we're ultimately trying to do is trying to fill out this score sheet. So we wanted to focus a little bit on the score sheet and how we look at it and what kind of things we see that are missing that make it difficult for us to fill out that score sheet and get us to that bottom line number, which ultimately gets you to the short list and gets you in the interview room. Here it says, you know, again, follow those instructions, make it easy. Use this form as a guide. Use this score sheet as a guide as you're filling out your submission. So the rest of the submission basically walks us through the sections of the score sheet, item by item, 1 through 5. So we're going to start with primary firm location and the workload size, the workload and the size of your firm. So this is a glimpse of that RFQ that you have here. Starting with the top section, number 1. So the proximity of the firm to the project site. It's my understanding on this RFQ, since there's multiple locations, that we've just taken that scoring category off the table. But I'm sure you guys will submit on other projects throughout the state, so let's talk about it real quick anyway. What we're looking for when we're trying to get to the proximity of your firm to the project site is we're looking for the lead firm's address. A lot of times, you know, we will see, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself here a little bit, I think. So we're looking for the lead firm's address, not one of the consultant teams. We're looking for the roadway miles measured from the lead firm's office to the project location. And we're looking for the office where the work will be performed. So I know some firms have multiple office locations, and I know it's very convenient and it's good to try to list that location. That makes you closer to the site and scores you more points. But we're going to dig deeper than that. We're going to look into your submission, and we're going to try to determine from the people that you've submitted on your team, which team from which office is actually doing the work. So we're really trying to get to that. What office are you working from?
Okay, you say you're looking for the lead team's office address, and then the office that you're working from.
So I'm asking for them to be the same thing. So if you have a Columbus office and you have a Cincinnati office, and your Columbus office maybe has 1 or 2 people, the Cincinnati office is where the bulk of your firm is from. You're proposing the Columbus address for a Columbus project, but we go through the resumes on your project form and they're all listed under the Cincinnati address. I'm going to go back and I'm going to say they're doing this work from the Cincinnati office. I'm going to score them from that distance. Okay. And then we will also go in and you know, you guys fill out a lot of times. There's a spot on that first page that you put the miles. We're going to double check them. We use Google Maps or MapQuest or something like that, and we'll just plug them all in and verify. And there may be some slight variation. You know, it may be 26 miles that you list. We may say it's 26.2. Probably is inconsequential in most cases. So let's talk a little bit about the amount of fees awarded to the firms. Also, you'll see here on this statement of qualifications that there's fee ranges listed. Less than $200,000 is worth 7 points on your project. $201,000 to $500,000 is worth 1 point, and if you've done over $500,000, it's worth 0 points. So let's talk about the range of that. That is your total revenue in the past 2 years of working, and it's revenues with that particular contracting authority. So if you flip back to the first page of this request for qualifications, this is one that's missed, that we think is missed a lot. You know, we may get a submission here, well, let's go. If you look at the front page, contracting authority, right here on the right side says OFCC. So we are the contracting authority, ODOT is the owner. We'll be, in effect, managing and holding your team's contract. So we're looking for the work that you've done with the OFCC in the past 2 years. Have you done Department of Corrections projects that have been managed by OFCC? Have you done K-12 projects that have been managed by OFCC? Those kinds of things. So, you know, you may have I don't know, sometimes you may have a really long list of work with us, but very little work with ODOT. You look at and you view maybe that ODOT is the contracting authority, you list a number that is less than what maybe your contract value is with us, or vice versa. Again, we'll go back through databases and we'll double check that to try to get to that accurate range number. Yes?
For that revenue, is that as the prime or as any work done for that contract?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess I normally view it as the prime. I was gonna look around for some of the other folks here and verify that, and yeah, the prime is what we're looking for.
There's a report notes that we can pull that shows the prime contracts amount of work that they've had with OFCC in the last 24 months.
So when we're talking about workload, we're looking for, from an AE, criteria architect, CMS agent, we're looking based on the value of your fees. If this would happen to be a CMR project and a DB, and we're assessing those entities at that time, it would be based on the total construction contract value. So when you get to the statement of qualifications, the last page actually titled Statement of Qualifications, Part 2, lists that range. Make sure when you get to this part of the form and you're filling it in, you're working with knowing the contracting authority, and also make sure that you're using the most current form. Sometimes we get old forms, we get forms from other projects, you know, sometimes we get a copy paste and it doesn't have the right ranges. That makes it hard for us to get to the score. The other thing that we see sometimes is we'll get a federal form, and that really throws it all out of whack. So make sure you pull the most current form off of our website when you're putting this submission in, so that we can get to the ranges that you fill in here on this part of the statement qualifications, and get to the right place on the score sheet and get you scored properly to make sure you get all the points you deserve. Again, you know, we'll run a report out of our office, and we'll check the numbers, and we may arrive at a different total. We'll use what we know and what we find from our records. The number of licensed professionals in your firm. So this really counts for the firm providing the primary services. So if you look on page 3 of 5 on this request for qualifications, we're calling out the primary services to be architectural for the architect of record. So we'll be evaluating how many registered architects are in your firm. You can provide that here for us. We'll count them up and we'll add the points in there. So score-wise, what do we say? We're giving 1 point for less than 5 registered professionals. 6 to 10 registered architects would get you 3 points, and more than 11 would get you 2 points. And we just talked about where we designate where that primary versus secondary firms are listed. So primary firm qualifications. This is where you have the opportunity to describe your team to us. Looking here, we are on the score sheet. If you go to that section 2, just like it's listed here, we'll be looking for your project management lead, your project design lead, your technical staff, and your construction administration team. Most heavily weighted on this SOQ for your project manager and for your construction manager. You can give more information about each one of those members of your team in the resume section of the Statement of Qualifications. And this is a clip out of the resume page. What we're looking for off of that resume, and I'm going to go back, you know, you're filling in all this prescribed data. We're looking for the name, we're looking for the role in this contract. And I'm going to go back one more time. As we're talking about the role in that contract, we're asking for a project management lead, we're asking for a project design lead, technical staff, and construction administration staff. Help us out there. Give me just a sec. When we ask for a project management lead, we need to be able to understand who your project manager is. We see a lot of different names. I know in the various firms, you have different roles and different titles that you give to your staff members, but we have to be able to pretty black and white understand who these team members are. A lot of times for a project management lead, you might list principal in charge. Don't leave us guessing. If they're principal in charge and they're project manager and you feel that it's important to list principal in charge, list them both. You know, again, if we're guessing or if we can't figure it out, which team member is which, it's hard for us to score it. We're going to give you a lower score. If we can't figure it out at all, it may result in us having to give you a 0 there if we can't tell which team member is which. So, question?
Just a point of interest, we always get confused by the fact that you ask for construction administration staff, but it's never listed in services required. We always include it, but it's not listed as service required. Is there a reason why, or?
Yeah, I guess the construction administration we consider part of your basic services. So if we look at the basic services breakdown that you're going to give us on a schedule of values, you know, we break all that down by pre-design, schematic design, design development, construction documents, bidding, conform documents, and construction administration closeout are the last 2 of those. So we consider that an integral part of the base services. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Alright, so what, in the idea that there should be only one project management lead and one project design lead for each team?
I would think that would be the case. I would think you would have one project manager that is managing your internal architectural staff, and I would think that project manager would also be managing all of your consultants. You know, a lot of times we will see project management leads listed for mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and what have you, but we ask for architectural as the lead, so we're looking for that project manager that is heading up the entire team. And it would be the same from a design standpoint. We see a lot of the same. We'll see the plumbing designer and the mechanical designer and what have you, but we're.
So then, technical staff would include anyone who's not that, even if they're a registered architect or engineer.
I would say on some level, everybody else that's going to work on the project.
Except for the construction.
Right.
Okay.
Another question?
You just say that you wanted the project manager to be an architect?
I said I wanted the project manager to be from the lead firm.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's not what I said, but that's what I meant. So in filling out that resume page, we're looking for the education levels, professional licenses, experience in the project role that they're performing, experience with similar types of projects to this. You know, again, there's only so much room in that resume page to describe that information. You know, we do have the fill in the blank sections, and then there is that last part down here that talks about the project that you're gonna reference about this individual, and then talk about their role. If you need to say more about that individual, then here use the section H in the 330. This is again on some level general information. You can get a little more specific if there's very important details that you can't include here that you need to tell us about yourselves. With that said, use this role and benefit of the client section to tell us your role on that particular project and what value you brought to that project. Again, I guess I'm farther away from this than I think I was, but I always come to these and I say, you know what, I'm not so far away from writing and reviewing these in the office that I came from before I came here. And it was very common, even in our office, after I looked at it and scribbled red all over it, that we're doing a copy and paste into these roles and these client values every time. And at some point in time, it becomes meaningless. If you can spend the time and put the effort in to tell us really what that person did on that job and what value they brought, it means so much more to this resume section than just a copy-paste boilerplate infill. Here we note, sometimes you guys want to tell us a lot about yourselves and a lot about the projects. We want the resume page to be 1 page long. If it gets into 2 pages or 37 pages, we're gonna look at the first page and we're gonna evaluate the first page only. So again, important traits of each of these roles, from project management lead, managing the scope, schedule, and budget, and managing the team. From the project design lead, creative and effective design solutions. You know, Carrie mentioned these aren't your sexy design buildings. So what does project design lead mean on a project like this? I don't know. Maybe it's more about designing the details and knowing the operations than it is about designing a architectural piece of artwork. Technical staff, looking for experience with sound documents, communication, timely communication, timely administration of the process, timely deliverables timely delivery of your deliverables. And then the construction administration staff, you know, identify issues that you've had on construction sites and tell us how you've solved problems. We've all done a bunch of construction projects. They're never perfect. There's always things that go wrong. Sometimes it's not about the being right or wrong. Sometimes it's about how you solved those problems and kept the project moving, kept us on budget and on schedule, or got us back on budget and on schedule. So common challenges that we have in trying to evaluate this particular section, and I think I touched on some of them. The resume does not include the information related directly to the scoring criteria. So scoring criteria listed in this RFQ is under B, scope of services, and there's 7 items listed there toward the bottom of that section, just above C. I'm not going to read them all. You guys will spend a lot of time looking at these and working your way through them. Again, I think kind of goes without saying, we have trouble sometimes when you're filling it out and it does not address the scoring criteria that we're evaluating. So again, go back to the score sheet. Use this, start where we finish, or I guess finish where we start, you know. So use this as a guide to help you give us the information that we're looking for. And then the example project pages do not include information directly related to the scoring again. So again, important page for both you and us. So let's talk about the key consultants. This key discipline is going to get 15 points in total. So that, based on this RFQ, we're asking for the secondary consultants on these projects to be MEP engineering, civil engineering, geotechnical engineering, and surveying. So you know, make sure those are members of your team, whether they're on your primary team or whether you're bringing them to the table as a consultant. We're specifically asking for them. Give them to us and make sure we can find out who they are. This is the first place that you guys can gain edge points. The consultants are your edge partners. And again, very similar to the review and the evaluation of the primary team. We're going to evaluate this team in a very similar manner. Jerome?
I didn't see any structural engineering on the second.
So structural's
Well,
not
yeah.
structural's not listed.
It's not that primary, Jerome, because basically these are pre-engineered buildings, and it's foundations and support for those.
Yep.
So then, if your firm, and you are the prime firm running our or is that sort of up to, that's like the number one?
Yeah, so,
question.
so if you're a firm that has all of these services wrapped up into one, can you list them as consultants? Will we count them as consultants and score them that way?
I have not.
So,
So what was that answer?
I have not, but it's really, we're looking for you to provide those consultant services, whether they're external or internal. No points given either way, except when it comes to Edge.
but we are evaluating 15 points for a consultant team. So if they provide all of these services out of the lead primary role,
Then we should look at it from that point, right?
so we would look at
Yeah.
civil out of lead firm as a civil consultant and score them
Yeah.
that way.
Okay, that would be fair, right?
As opposed to this whole package is in the primary, they didn't bring us any consultants, 0 points.
Yeah, right, correct.
Okay. So again, like I said, really looking at the same types of things for the primary team that we're looking for the consultants and evaluating similarly based on information that's included on that resume page. So let's talk about Edge in relation to the consultant participation. I'm trying really hard not to read a lot of this off of